The wind swept across the barren plains like a tired sigh from the old earth itself, carrying dust and secrets, and the faint scent of mesquite smoke, drifting from distant camps hidden. Beyond the canyons, Samuel Harlan, the poor farmer whose name barely carried weight even in the tiny settlement of Copper Ridge, stood barefoot on the edge of his rugged field, staring at the cracked soil that had betrayed him again. Another season failed, another harvest lost, another reminder that he was a man wrestling a land that refused to bend. His clothes hung loose on his thin frame, patched and worn from years of labor that never paid him back, and his calloused hands trembled slightly as he leaned on his rusted shovel. The sun, merciless and unkind, pushed down on him until sweat soaked his shirt, but he stayed there, staring at the earth as if hoping it might grow out of pity. Yet Samuel was not a bitter man. Life had skimmed him, bruised him, pushed him, but he carried a heart that refused to harden. He was quiet, gentle, and hard-working, qualities that earned respect, though never fortune. His neighbors would often say, "Sam ain't got much, but he's got a soul made of gold," though none of them truly knew the weight he carried. Ever since his parents died, the farm had been both his anchor and his prison. The loneliness that settled on him each night felt heavier than his debts, and when supper meant nothing more than a piece of cornbread and lukewarm water, he whispered a prayer for strength rather than despair. But on this particular evening, something shifted in the horizon, something he felt before he saw. The distant rustle of hooves, the rhythm steady but light, approached from the west. Samuel straightened slowly, wiping the sweat from his brow as dust curled up into the dimming sky. At first he thought it might be ranch hands or travelers passing through, but as the figure came closer, he felt his breath catch. Riding toward him was a woman, an Apache woman, her posture tall, proud, unwavering even as the last light of day shimmered against her raven-black hair. She rode a paint horse, its stride elegant, its coat glistening in the sunset, draped in traditional Apache garments, adorned with beads that caught the fading light. She carried an aura that was both fierce and serene. Samuel's heart pounded. Encounters between settlers and Apache were rare, delicate, sometimes dangerous. But there was no threat in her eyes, only purpose. As she slowed her horse near the edge of his dying field, Samuel swallowed hard and stepped back, unsure whether to greet her or give her space. She dismounted with graceful ease, her moccasins touching the earth as lightly as falling leaves, and lifted her chin with the poise of someone who had weathered storms far greater than his. "You are the farmer called Samuel," she said, her voice low, smooth, and steady. He nodded, unsure how she knew him. "Yes, he answered quietly. "I am." For a long moment she studied him, not with suspicion, nor fear, but with an intensity that made his skin tingle. Her eyes were deep, dark, reflecting a wisdom older than the hills behind them. Then she spoke words that would change the course of his life forever. "I choose you to be the father," she said. Samuel froze. The shovel slipped from his hands and clattered to the ground, startling a nearby crow into flight. He stared at her, stunned, certain he had misheard. He whispered shakily. I don't understand." She stepped closer, close enough that he could see the faint scars etched along her arms like hidden stories. "My name is Nayeli," she said, "daughter of Chief Taza of the White Sky Apache. Our traditions choose warriors to continue bloodlines, to protect the strength of the tribe. But I have chosen differently. I choose you." Samuel's throat tightened. Someone like her choosing someone like him was unthinkable. She was strong, brave, powerful, and he was a poor, nearly invisible farmer barely scraping by. He shook his head. "I'm no warrior," he murmured. "I'm no one important." "You are gentle," she replied. "Strong in ways you do not see. A man of quiet courage has more worth than a man of loud violence." Samuel looked away, his cheeks burning. No one had ever spoken of him like that. Nayeli continued, her voice softening. "I watched you from the ridge beyond the river many times. You work even when the earth refuses you. You share when you have little. You speak kindness even to those who mock you. A man with a heart like that is a man worthy to father life." His chest tightened. His palms grew damp. This had to be a dream, an impossible, surreal dream born of exhaustion. But why me? He whispered. Why not one of your own people? Her expression flickered, not with anger, but with sorrow. My tribe does not know I am here, she admitted. They would not approve of my choice. But my spirit has chosen, and I must follow it. Samuel stepped back in shock. She came without permission. If her tribe discovered him, he could be killed. She must have sensed his fear because she added, I do not wish harm for you. What I ask for is trust. A path chosen by the heart is never without danger, but it leads to truth. The air between them grew still, thick with tension and destiny. Samuel's heart hammered. He had lived his whole life unseen, forgotten by townsfolk, overlooked by fate. But here stood a woman from a world far stronger and more ancient than his, declaring him chosen. And for the first time in his life, someone looked at him as though he mattered. A warmth spread through his chest, confusion, admiration, fear, wonder, all tangled into one overwhelming storm. Nayeli took one more step toward him. Walk with me, she said softly. Let me tell you why I have come, and what future I see. And Samuel, trembling and unsure but drawn to her like a moth to fire, found himself nodding.